Well, it is Monday and I am back up on the property, but I don't really intend to be doing much work today. Supposedly, the guy I contacted is supposed to meet me up here today. So I'm kind of just chilling, hanging out, waiting to see if he's actually gonna show up today, and if he does, then maybe we'll get an update as to the direction we're taking with this project. So fingers crossed. Even if for some reason he can't make it or he doesn't show up, you know, I enjoy it up here. Maybe it'll be a chance for me to kind of just chill and enjoy the property and the views and the weather. It's nice and sunny today, but it rained pretty hard last night. And yeah, I'm gonna try to stay off of the slippery clay as much as I can. Tired of falling down up here. So the guy came out and I talked to him, and unfortunately it wasn't the best news. But one interesting thing he did point out is that it would probably be better to start on this end of the property instead of starting down at that end. He was talking about coming up here and starting on this end because the elevation of the road goes up here and you would have less dirt to move out. So that was kind of an oof moment for me. I did think about that, but it's just, I don't know. I just had this idea of, you know, it going down that way and whatnot. But I do think he's right, you know, starting down here and having a bit of a jump on the dirt. Like he described it as about 12 feet. He said there's probably about 12 feet of dirt you wouldn't have to move then. Unfortunately, he couldn't give me an estimate on what it would cost to do that. He said he would have to bring out like some kind of laser thing to determine how many truckloads there would be. But more troubling is he said that you would need to get the soil tested first, because he said that depending on where the drain field has to go, you could be in your drain field if you dug out the driveway and not know it, and then you'd ruin your property. So I was like, well, what if the drain field is where the driveway would go? Well, what do you do about a driveway? Are you just screwed? And he was kind of like, so yeah, this property is presenting itself to be quite the challenge. Maybe that's why it was sold so cheaply. In any case, that's what he said. So there's no real news on that front in terms of getting a driveway done for us. I would have to get the soil tested first, and he said that would cost between like $450, $500. So, you know, if you got to do it, you got to do it, whatever. But that's a chunk of money just to, I mean, it's got to be done regardless, but that's a chunk of money to put forward just to get the initial step done that I was trying to get dealt with. Unfortunately, that's not all the bad news. There's another issue when it comes to house plans and building a house. Things aren't what they were when I first started this project. So here is the kind of worst news of it. The county has changed the rules on me, basically pulling the rug out from under my whole operation here. So I don't remember just how much we've discussed the idea of the house and like what we wanted to do with it and stuff, but it was going to be more or less a tiny house, technically a tiny house, not on wheels, on a foundation, but small square footage wise. Like I'm talking about, like we were considering 12 by 16, maybe 12 by 16 2-story, or at least with a sizable loft to you know, free up some of that space. 2-story, a full 2-story would have been more ideal in that regard. Anyway, so 12 by 16 is like what, under 400 square feet, And a few months ago, several months ago, when I called the like planning and zoning department, whatever it is, of the county, and I talked to the guy there, I asked if there is a minimum square footage requirement for the county, and he said no, there isn't one. Well, apparently between then and now, that has changed. The guy that I just talked to, he was really helpful, really nice guy, and unlike a couple of the other people that have come out, didn't, a lot of like asking questions and talking to me more about things and being more helpful in general. There's a little lizard running around behind me. And he said that he talked to the guy like a week ago, and he was told that the minimum square footage requirement is now like 670 something square feet. And that came as quite the surprise to me, because like I said, I did my due diligence, I called and I asked. So unfortunately, that kind of puts a halt on the whole tiny house thing, because that's just too big. Like, we couldn't afford to do it even if things were normal. But now lumber prices are 2-3 times as much, so like with the cost of having to prep the land and stuff, especially if I wasn't able to do it on my own, having to get a septic tank put in, things like that, it was already becoming like very, very sketchy. Very like, can we afford this? Are we going to be able to balance all these things and pay for all this stuff and then build a house? But now you're talking about having to build almost twice as big, and lumber prices are, let's say 3 times as expensive as they originally were. So unless something changes financially, I don't know if we're going to be able to do much here. And that's assuming that the driveway and septic tank and all that stuff, like the soil thing and everything, checked out. So I don't know. It's not really devastating to me. This property was really cheap when I bought it. I got it because of where it was, and we only have a little studio apartment, so it's like I wanted something that was mine to go and get away from the apartment on. So I didn't mind really if it just turned out to be like a recreational area, like somewhere where I can go and just hang out on my land away from other people and just do my thing. So it's like, I'm fine with that. It's just the principle of it is what's annoying, is that you can make plans for something and those, like, they can just change it out from under you and totally screw everything up. But if 2020 has taught us anything, unexpected things can happen and screw everyone up. So it's par for the course of 2020, and to some extent for my life, I guess. Not to be too pessimistic, but it's like, I've talked about that, I think, in videos about having that fear of something coming and just pulling the rug out from under me. Well, here it is. There it is. But you know how it goes. Like, sometimes things just aren't meant to be, and you do something else, and maybe it works out better. So that doesn't mean that the plan here, the project here, is dead. Like, maybe we'll figure out a way to continue with things, but as it is, I don't know if I can justify expending too much more money or time working towards something this uncertain. And, the cost of getting just the bare minimum set up is daunting enough as it is. Like, that was questionable already. So adding on to it other complications and costs of building and things, like, I just don't know. So currently I'm still hoping and planning to do the area here. Like, I want to try to make a little flattened out spot to kind of hang out on, maybe burn some fires, maybe barbecue, I don't know, like make some kind of little usable piece of land here. And I may continue with the dig down there in order to make a more proper way up onto the property and stuff. But as far as like working towards a homestead here, I don't know, that's all been put into question now. it's been a few days since we were last at the property. My wife and I decided to give it some thought, try to figure out how we wanted to contend with these new revelations that are going to affect, you know, how we do things, what we do, etc. But anyway, I'm heading back up there today. I won't be doing any digging, I don't think, because there's some obviously considerations that have to be made. But I think I'm going to try to take another stab at that rock. I don't expect to really get anywhere with it today, but I thought maybe I'd take the drill back up there and see if I can get it weakened up a bit more. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Okay, I think we're gonna need these tools today. Oh, my glasses fell out. Something has slid around. Guess I'll have to find them. Well, here she is. Sitting here just the same as ever. So just to kind of get caught up on the last couple of days here, my wife and I were making some considerations, and one of the things is, you know, even though we have this property and even though we were working on it, we've still kept the options open, the ideas open. We look for properties in other areas we have considered, you know, trying to move to or whatever. So there was actually an interesting property that showed up at one, and we decided, since things happened with the way that they did with this property, the news that we got, maybe we would take a little trip and go look at that property. Well, that ended up being a bust. Why did I say bust? Anyway, a bust because we couldn't actually get to it. It's another mountainside property, but even more rural, I guess, than this one. And the road to, like, you know, we've been getting a lot of rain lately and stuff too, and the road to it was gravel and was so steep and so messed up that on the way up we got, like, I had to stop for some of the bumps, and then our car just started spinning its tires, and we couldn't actually physically get the car up to it. And unfortunately that's just kind of how it works, at least around here, is if you, like, you know, we have a very small budget. We're really hoping and trying not to go into debt, if so a very minimal amount, and that's probably pie in the sky hopes and dreams, which is pretty much everything we do, I guess. But anything that is within the range that we consider an option or considerable for our budget is going to be something like this. It's going to be like steep land that no one wants to work with. It's going to be so rural it's hard to get to, or it's really far away from everything, or something. You know, there's a catch to it. Gee, that truck sounded like it was racing up the mountain, but it was going rather slowly down the mountain. It have good brakes. So anyway, yeah, that's just kind of the way it is. Like, all of the good land that's relatively level, that's especially close to town, but that's pretty much with anywhere. But anything that's like accessible, easy to build on, etc., is it goes for a premium. And anything that's within our budget is going to be something that's more of a challenge to work with. I guess that'll do. guess I didn't tighten that up enough. So the reason I'm working with the rock today is, well, first of all, it's because I wanted to come up here and do something. And I don't know what to do with the digging portion since I'm looking into maybe having that done, or at least partly. And, you know, the guy said I should try to get the soil tested first before I go with the driveway, in case this portion up here would be necessary for a drain field or something. So instead of pursuing something that may be futile for a number of reasons, those reasons stated, I decided to come up here and try to mess with this, because there's also the consideration of, like, should we start on this end with the driveway instead of where I was starting over there, and like reverse it. And if that's the case, then this rock definitely needs to go. So that's why I decided to try and work on the rock today. I was considering buying a bigger sledgehammer, like a full-size sledgehammer, and some more chisels. But for now, I just figured, you know, I got this drill and everything, so I'll just drill some more holes and try to weaken it and just see what I can do with what I've already got. Possible to go deaf from hammering a chisel? Well, the hammer and chisel thing hasn't gotten any funner since the last time I did it. It's ringing the hell out of my ears, and the vibration coming through the hammer is really like hurting my fingers and shit. So I almost tried to censor myself, but then I was like, nah. Anyway, I was actually researching this on YouTube the other day, and I found that there's some stuff called Dex Max or something like that, and it's almost like a concrete mixture. It's like a tub of powder or something you buy, and you mix it with water, and you put it in holes like this, kind of like these. Of course, I think you would probably want bigger holes, but I don't know. Anyway, you mix it up and you put it in there and you let it sit for like 24 hours to cure, and it supposedly has like 18,000 or 32,000 something. I think it's 18,000 psi as it dries and expands. And they use it to crack rocks like this. I thought about trying it, but it's like, I think it's an 11-pound container that it comes in. And it's like $40 or $50, something like that. Unfortunately, it says it's not sold in the store here at the Home Depot anyway. So I would probably have to order it online. I don't know. I'm thinking about trying it. The only thing is, like, these holes are all like filled with the dirt and the rock dust that I pulled out of it. So I'd have to figure out a way to clean it up a little bit better. Like, I'm trying to use the bit to do it, but it's not really working that well. So I don't know. I'll keep plugging away at it this way. Maybe try to drill a few more holes or something, and I don't know. We'll see how that goes. You got rock dust all over you. Well, there goes that battery. Fortunately though, I have a backup. Well, I dug a couple more holes in it, or drilled, I should say. Got a couple more down here, etc. I'm really thinking the hammer and chisel thing isn't going to work unless, like I said, I go get a couple more chisels and a bigger sledgehammer. So I got to decide between that or trying out that whatever that stuff is that you put in the holes. Decisions. Got a bunch of bird friends hanging out with me today. They get pretty close. It's pretty surprising that they trust humans as much as they do. I've gotten some of them fly within a few feet of me. It's pretty cool. Got a beautiful skyscape today. Look at those clouds. Quite enjoyable. Well, I think I've drilled as much as I feel like drilling today. Still not sure what to do. I gotta decide if I'm gonna try that stuff or hammer and chisel kind of situation. I feel like that stuff would really be the way to go if it works in this application. Because like with one fell swoop, you can get all these holes to crack, you know, get the whole rock pretty much to just break into a bunch of different pieces. So kind of leaning that way. I kind of hate to spend that much money on something that's kind of like for one particular use. Like getting a sledgehammer and chisels would be a better investment in terms of like having something that you could use in the future, but I don't know. Like I just don't know how much I can expect that to work for me or whatever, so I don't know. Gotta give it some thought. Anyway, enough about the rock. The other thing, I think I talked about this the other day. I don't even remember. I can barely remember what I did 5 minutes ago these days. So he told me I need to get the soil tested, and he recommended a guy. So I called that guy, and he said that he charges $650 to do the test. Whew. So, yeah, that was a thing. And I asked him if there was like any record of the test already being done for this property. He didn't have any record of it, and he recommended another guy to call and ask about it. So I called that guy, and he said he didn't recognize it, but yeah, I asked him how much he charges for the test, and he said $350, which is still a lot, but it's $300 cheaper than the other guy, which kind of sucks. The first guy did seem really cool, easygoing, not really nice guy, and he took his time to look up the records and try to make sure he couldn't find anything for this property and stuff. So if I was rich, you know, I'd be happy to support him and pay all that money, but I have to try and get things done as cheap as I can. I might call one or two others and see what their rate is, but I did text him and ask if he would match the other guy's price. So far, haven't heard anything back. Kind of don't expect to, but we'll see how that goes. Anyway, I don't know. I'm enjoying the view and everything. I just don't know how much more time I'm going to spend up here. I don't know how much more work I'm going to do, so I might call it here. I don't think I'm going to get anywhere without any other stuff, so there's nothing much to do. As much as I love the view, that rhymed, I don't have much else going on, so I'm just going to wrap it up and try to take care of some other things today. Eesh. Well, guess that's it for now. Basically next week, probably Monday, as soon as I can, I'm going to try to call the soil tester guy, figure out which one to go with, and see if I can get that scheduled. It'll probably be after the first of the year, and get that done. And then after that's done, I should be able to hopefully call the grader guy and see like if the result of the test is good, and then see if he can come out and give me an estimate for the driveway thing and go from there. I say that a lot, I think. Go from there. But that's all we can do. Just try to focus on the next step, not get too disheartened by the little setbacks, and just try to take one step at a time, as they say. But, yeah, I think I might try to go. It's kind of early now, but it's the only time we're going to be out, so I might try to go pick up dinner. Maybe surprise my wife with pizza tonight. The cheap stuff. Probably won't have another vlog before Christmas, so, you know, if anyone sees this before then, or ever, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, or whatever it is you like to do on December 25th. For all us pagans who like to take trees from outside and put them in our house. We haven't even put up our tree yet, to be honest. I'm rambling. My nose is running too. I don't know if it shows on camera, but I feel it. I guess that's as good a note as any to end the video on.